On May 2, 1536, Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, was arrested and charged with several serious crimes including adultery, treason, and incest. These accusations were made by members of the court who had turned against her, and they were likely motivated by political and personal reasons rather than actual evidence of wrongdoing. Anne was a controversial figure in the court and had failed to produce a male heir for the king, which put her in a vulnerable position. Despite her protestations of innocence, Anne was found guilty and sentenced to death by beheading. Her execution took place just days later, on May 19, 1536, and marked a significant turning point in the reign of Henry VIII, as it paved the way for his subsequent marriages and divorces. Anne's story has been the subject of much fascination and speculation over the years, and continues to be a source of interest for historians and the general public alike. On May 2, 1808, the Madrid Uprising against French occupation began, marking the start of the Spanish War of Independence. This event was a response to the installation of Joseph Bonaparte, the brother of French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, as the new King of Spain. The Spanish people, who had long been resentful of French rule, saw this as a betrayal of their national sovereignty and erupted in protest. The uprising began in Madrid, but quickly spread throughout the country, as Spanish civilians and military forces fought to expel the French occupiers. This conflict, known as the Spanish War of Independence, would last for 6 years and become one of the most significant and costly wars in European history. The Spanish people's resistance against French rule would inspire other nations in Europe to stand up against the expanding French Empire, and would ultimately contribute to Napoleon's downfall. On May 2, 1866, the Battle of Callao took place, which marked the end of the Chincha Islands War. This conflict was fought between Spain and Peru over control of valuable guano deposits located on the Chincha Islands off the coast of Peru. The Spanish Navy, which was seeking to recapture these islands, attacked the Peruvian port city of Callao with a formidable fleet. However, the Peruvian defenders were able to hold their ground and ultimately repel the Spanish forces, thanks in part to the deployment of new weapons technology like ironclad warships and explosive torpedoes. This victory was a significant turning point in the war, as it effectively ended Spain's attempts to reassert control over its former colony. The Battle of Callao had wider implications as well, as it signaled a shift in the balance of power in the region and the emergence of new South American nations as major players in international affairs. On May 2, 1946, the infamous Battle of Alcatraz took place at the Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary. 6 inmates had planned a daring escape attempt, hoping to take control of the prison and use it as a bargaining chip for their release. The inmates, armed with homemade weapons, managed to overpower the guards and seize control of part of the cell block. However, their plan quickly unraveled as reinforcements arrived and a fierce battle ensued. Over the course of 2 days, the inmates and the guards engaged in a violent struggle, with the prisoners ultimately being overwhelmed and defeated. The battle left 3 inmates dead and 2 guards seriously injured. On May 2, 1952, the Havilland Comet made history by becoming the world's first passenger jet aircraft. Developed by the British aircraft manufacturer de Havilland, the Comet represented a major breakthrough in aviation technology. With its sleek, streamlined design and powerful engines, the aircraft was able to fly faster and higher than any previous passenger plane. Its maiden flight took place in England, and it quickly became a sensation, attracting worldwide attention and admiration. The Comet's success paved the way for the development of other passenger jet aircraft, which would go on to transform the aviation industry and make air travel more accessible and efficient than ever before. On May 2, 2011, one of the most significant events of the War on Terror took place, the killing of Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden was one of the most wanted men in the world, having orchestrated a number of deadly terrorist attacks against the United States and its allies. After years of searching, U.S. intelligence finally located him in a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and authorized a daring raid by Navy SEALs to capture or kill him. The operation was a success, with the SEALs storming the compound and engaging in a firefight with bin Laden and his followers. Bin Laden was ultimately shot and killed, and his body was quickly buried at sea in accordance with Islamic tradition. The killing of bin Laden was a major victory for the U.S. and its allies, and was celebrated as a milestone in the fight against terrorism.